Hi, everyone. How's it going?
Good.
Oh, good. I'm expecting a lot more people, but we'll go ahead and get started in just 1 minute, and hopefully they'll trickle in. So good. Some more people are showing up now. All right. So some of you guys know me. I recognize some familiar faces. So my name's Courtney, and I passed the LOTE, and I've been helping people pass the LOTE for several years now. So I have a course in tutoring that people use to pass. And tonight we'll go over some of the pedagogy questions that are free on the Texas NES-INC manual, but it helps to do it together because, well, for one thing, we're all just busy, right? And we might not take time to do that, but it also helps to read the rationales together and see what those are. If you don't mind, if I could ask who the iPhone is, who's joining me on the iPhone?
Daisy.
Oh, good, Daisy. Thank you. Yeah, I try to see who's here. That way I know when I email you guys who I'm emailing. So yeah, man, a lot of people are popping in. I wish they had it where they could automatically come in with the passcode, but that's not a setting for Calendly, at least not that I know of. So I have to admit everybody. But yeah, let me share my screen. We'll get started. So on the Texas NES-INC manual, which is totally free, it's on the same site where you go to register for the test. If you go in the Prepare tab, and then scroll down and click on LOTE Spanish 613. I think you'll find that a lot of the questions on the real test are very similar to this. So then you click on number 9, Sample Foreign Language Pedagogy Instructional Practices Assignments. Nope, this is the lesson plan. Never mind. It's number 8, the pedagogy questions. Okay. There are 17 questions available here. So we might have time to get through most of them. I have to make sure I end promptly tonight because I have another session after this one. But we'll get through as many as we can. And then I'll show you some from my course too. That way you can see how my course works. So before we start this, I actually wanted to show you guys, because some of you guys are brand new to, you haven't worked with me before, and you might be brand new to the test and haven't really seen what it's all about. So just really quickly, let's look at this. This is the breakdown of the test. As you can see, the biggest part is pedagogy, instruction, and assessment. We'll be talking about it tonight, but of course we can't cover everything you would need to know for that in about 15 minutes. It wouldn't be possible, but we'll get at least a little start on it. So this has the multiple choice questions and also the lesson plan and the essay. Then you have cultural understanding. That's the smallest part of the test. Most people do well on that, so I don't focus on that in tutoring or my course. Then we have interpretive listening and interpretive reading. Each of those is 16.7%. And then writing and speaking is 12% each. So in my course in tutoring, I focus on everything except for cultural understanding, and I do tie it in with some of the reading and listening. So we still hit it. It's just not a focus. But yeah, so some of these concepts and terms are, if you're not in my course in tutoring and you haven't really been studying yet, you're not going to know some of these words, and that's okay. Then you know what you need to look up. If you're already in my course in tutoring, I'm sure you'll recognize everything in here if you've already been through my course. But it's still helpful to go through it and pick it apart and see how to answer them correctly. So let's see, number 1, a brochure for a K-6 foreign language program states that the program goals are to introduce students to language learning, to help students become aware of and appreciate other cultures, to enhance students' understanding of English, and to motivate students to study another language. Which of the following types of programs is described above? So if you're in my course or tutoring or both, you've heard me talk about the difference between these programs. So an immersion program, everything's taught in L2, in this case, Spanish, right? A FLES program has sequential language instruction where there's a structure and they're expected to gain proficiency. So it's very intense. Bilingual education means that the core subjects are taught in both languages. And a FLEX program is just to get them used to a language, just to introduce them, just to get them used to some culture and some vocabulary. So that being said, which of the 4 do you think it would be?
D.
Good, that's right, D. So that's correct. So in my course, you would learn all this before you would take the quizzes. But tonight, because some of you guys are brand new, I want to explain as I go. So these concepts aren't foreign to you. Number 2, a foreign language teacher is planning a unit on a historical figure. Which of the following activities is most appropriate for a 2nd grade immersion class? Now, remember I said immersion means everything's taught in the second language, right? So in this case, L2 is Spanish. Now, if you're taking the LOTE French, because I did invite somebody that's taken the LOTE French, then of course that would be French. So let's see. Completing worksheets for practice with past tense verb forms so students can speak and write about the historical figure's life. It's probably never going to be worksheets, right? Reading storybooks in the target language to students about the historical figure's life and contributions to the society. That sounds pretty good. Translating the most important events of the historical figure's life into the student's first language. That's probably never going to be right, where it's translating things into the first language. Showing a video in English about the current events. Well, that's not related to L2. Our goal is to try to be teaching in L2. So it seems like you guys are on target. Yes, y'all are selecting B. So B is correct. All right. Also, I want to draw your attention to, if you click on this, it will explain to you exactly why the answer is correct and why the other answers are incorrect. So this is very helpful. Number 3, a teacher of a beginning foreign language class would like to introduce to novice mid-learners some new vocabulary related to food and drink. Which of the following instructional strategies would be beneficial to oral learners in the teacher's classroom? Select all that apply. If you were with me last week, we went through the ACTFL guidelines in detail, right? So you know what novice mid-levels are expected. So let's see what you guys think it is. Good. And notice it says select all that apply. So oral learners, they learn from hearing, right? So asking them to fill out, do a fill in the blank exercise while listening to a recorded dialogue, and projecting photos, saying each word and having them repeat the words. Those are both related to oral activities, AURAL, so like hearing. B and C would not be correct. Good deal. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead to a little bit further down because I think some of you guys that are doing my tutoring, we did the first few, and I want to do some of the later ones, but I highly recommend that you do all of these. But let's scroll down and do the 5 C's is what gets people. If you haven't looked at the 5 C's yet, I really recommend it. They give you the chart on the test, but most people still struggle with these. So they give you this chart and then you have to figure out which one it applies to. So which example below best represents an activity that demonstrates how high school students might meet the community standard? Let's look at communities. There's 2 of them. 5.1, students use the language both within and beyond the school setting. 5.2, students show evidence of becoming lifelong learners by using the language for personal enjoyment and enrichment. So out of these 4 options, which one would be communities? What do y'all think? Good. A is correct because they'd be using the target language. They'd be doing it outside of school and they'd be learning, it sounds like some of them at least will be doing it for showing that they're lifelong learners. So A is correct. So it's showing that they're using it outside of the classroom. All right. During a unit on greetings and leave taking, students role play to introduce themselves to other students and to adults by using appropriate levels of formality. Which supporting standard is addressed through this activity? So if you're in my course in tutoring, we've talked about levels of formality and linguistic register, knowing when to use to and when to use usted, right? So if they're doing greetings and leave takings and they're role playing, introducing themselves, would it be interpretive communication where they're understanding, presentational where they're presenting products and perspectives of cultures, or language comparisons? This one's really tricky. Yeah, I can tell some of you guys have really analyzed this or already looked at this, because this one, it doesn't seem like language comparisons to me, but that's the correct answer. And they say it's because performing the role play and having to decide which register to use, that's knowing to use to or usted, leads students to make comparisons between conventions of the target language, culture, and their own. Okay, so it doesn't really sound like language comparisons to me, but we could also do process of elimination, right? A and B are incorrect because the students are engaging primarily in interpersonal communication rather than interpretive or presentational. Okay. So it doesn't really fit. C is incorrect because the students are introducing themselves, but not discussing any particular products or perspectives. So the culture standard is really tricky, and I go over that in a lot of detail in my course in tutoring. But so definitely go through all of these. I want to show you some from my course too, so you get some variety. But this has 17 questions. If you want even more practice, this is another good resource, and it's very affordable. If you go to the Texas NES-INC manual, there's a $10 Pearson test. And you can take it and it'll help you know if you're ready to pass the test or not. I recommend you do something first. You don't want to just do this because there's only one version of it. So, I can almost guarantee you're not ready to pass the LOTE if you haven't studied, because even if Spanish is your first language, over a third of the test has nothing to do with Spanish. So you're probably not going to pass if you don't study. So you would do this after you do some type of course or book or tutoring to get ready for the LOTE, and then it'll tell you how well you're doing. It, of course, since it's only $10, nobody grades the writing or speaking, but it'll tell you how well you do on pedagogy, reading, and listening. So it's very helpful. But I'll show you in my course. So my course, everything is aligned to the competencies and the domains. So domain 1 has everything you need to know for pedagogy, including videos to help you learn the material better, material to read, and quizzes. I have a little bit on cultural understanding, like I said, not much. And then I have listening comprehension exercises and external links you can do. A full-length reading comprehension test. You upload your own writing tasks to get feedback, just like you would on the test, all of the writing tasks like the real test, and you upload your own speaking tasks. And I forgot to mention up here in the pedagogy, you upload your lesson plan and essay too. So you do, it's very close to taking the real test, and you get feedback from me too. So I'll help you know if you're ready to pass. But let's look at competency 1 quiz. We'll look at a few questions. Okay, so, and I'll have to scroll down because this is a lot bigger text than the other one. Okay, so we have Jorge is a new student in Ms. Cantu's class, and Spanish is his first language. However, he has lived in the US for several years and prefers to speak English. He is reluctant to speak Spanish in Ms. Cantu's Spanish 3 class and does not want to do classwork or participate. What are some strategies she can use to encourage him to complete his assignments? Okay, so let's look at these and see what you.
C.
See, good job. Yes, and that's good because a lot of people pick B, but C is focused on him, and that's what we're talking about, right? We want to pick the one that's most focused on him, allowing him to choose from assignments so they can interest him. So the focus is on him. So that's competency one question. And then my course, kind of like the free questions, it'll tell you if you're right or wrong and why it's wrong. But the benefit of this is you get 45 questions here and another 45 here. So it's basically two full-length pedagogy tests in the course. So it's a lot more practice questions than you get in the free manual. Jaime is in 5th grade and he is learning Spanish 3 days a week. In his Spanish class, they learn vocabulary, grammar, and are expected to participate in conversations. He is most likely in good. D is correct. Good. Because remember, we said that's where they're expected to gain a level of proficiency. So good job. So you guys are doing well. We'll skip to the final test, which is going to be a mix of all the competencies, and we'll do a few of these just so you get some variety. A high school Spanish teacher notices that some of her students in level 3 Spanish class have developed an intermediate level of proficiency, but at times confuse words that are false cognates. What is the best explanation for this? So they're confusing false cognates. Cognates are words that look alike and have the same meaning. So false cognates are words that look alike and have different meaning. Good. That's right. Yeah, it's a part of their inner language development, right? So they're making mistakes. So when they do things like that, you want to use indirect correction, right? You want to model correct usage. So let's look at a couple more. A Spanish 1 teacher notices that some of her advanced students who would not speak at all in the first semester are now producing language chunks, and although they make some errors, they have shown a lot of progress. These students have developed BICS, emerged from the silent stage or in the early production stage, developed cognitive academic language proficiency, that's CALP, taken advantage of the monitor model. And you'd learn more about this in my course, but we don't have time for everything tonight. Let's see what you guys think. Good. All right, and we'll do at least one more. 2 high school Spanish teachers have very different approaches. Ms. Gonzalez uses direct instruction, gentle but direct correction, and rote drills. Ms. Pettis uses games, authentic videos, indirect instruction, and interactive activities. Which of the following statements is accurate? So again, Ms. Gonzalez is the one using direct instruction, correction, drills. And Ms. Pettis is using indirect instruction, interactive activities. Good. You guys are doing really well. That's great. So I do have to go pretty soon to get ready for my next session. So if you're already in my course in tutoring and you want to sign up, that of course I totally understand that. And I'll see some of you guys on Saturday and I'll see some of you on Wednesday. But in case you're not in my course in tutoring yet, I'd like to share with you a little bit about that. Did you guys find this helpful tonight, especially people that are new to me? Yes. Oh, good. I'm glad. I love doing this. I love helping people learn the pedagogy because it is the biggest part of the test and it's important, but it is also important for us to polish our Spanish, right? Because that's still 2/3 of the test. So if you're in my course in tutoring yet, yes, it does go fast. You only get 45 minutes for the 45 questions. So you're right, it is very fast. But I have different options. It kind of just depends on your personality and your budget, what you want to do. So if you're real self-directed and you can just learn on your own, the course only is great for you. And you would get everything that I just showed you. So you'd have feedback on all of your assignments, videos for the pedagogy, practice questions, lots of text, reading comprehension practice, all of the assignments, and you just pay $99. So one-time payment. You have access for 3 months, and I'm pretty flexible if you need a little bit more time. I'm pretty understanding about that. I have to pay a lot of money to use this course platform, so I do have to limit it to some extent, but that's a great option if you're, thanks, Chloe, have a great night. So that's a great option if you're self-directed and you're going to do it on your own. And then if you need a little bit of support, thank you, Ricardo, I'll see you soon. So if you need a little bit of support, this is a great option where you need a little bit, maybe a little bit of accountability to show up at least once a week and do some things together. We meet on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. and I always send the recording the same night. And we go through 4 different weeks of material. So I have you ready in 4 weeks if you do everything that I suggest. So 1 week we do pedagogy, instruction, and assessment for the whole hour. And you do practice questions on your own. And you write a lesson plan and an essay in English like you would on the test. 1 week we do the writing tasks in Spanish. There's 3 of them. And I tell you how to get a perfect score on that. And then you upload your own assignments and I give you feedback. And then 1 week we do the speaking tasks and we practice live, but you can mute your mic so not everybody has to hear you, and record it and upload your assignments. And then I'll give you feedback on how to improve. And then the last week we combine listening and reading, because most people don't need as much help on listening and reading. So that saves us some time, saves us the whole week, and it saves you money. So you can be ready in 4 weeks, and that's $33 per week. And you can cancel anytime. There's not a contract or anything like that. So that's great if you need a little bit of extra support and some accountability too. And then I designed this originally for people that have really been struggling with passing, that have taken it a few times, but I've had some people that are still kind of, maybe first or second time test takers that want to do this. So I do let anybody join, but it's real intense tutoring with a lot more assignments, a lot more support. We meet twice a week. It was on Saturdays and Wednesdays, but this month in October, it'll be Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. and I'll send the video. I text message you at least twice a week to remind you what you should be working on or see if you need help. You do twice as many assignments. It's a lot more work. And you do a whole module on test anxiety, because a lot of people that are retesting have test anxiety. And I limit enrollment to this. I only allow 8 people to join. Last month, I only let 6, but I'm getting where I'm more comfortable, so I can let 8 people join. I've already got some of those spots filled for October, but there's still a little bit of room left if anybody wants to join for that. And that you'd be ready in a month also, kind of like the other one, but you'd be doing twice as much work and getting more than twice as much help. And that's $279. So it's a big investment, but you're going to get a lot of return on that. So does anybody have any questions or comments or anything?
Yes, Courtney. Good evening.
Good
I'm
evening.
Daily Mondejar.
Yes.
And I got here late because my daughter just had her baby, and I was
Congratulations.
with her. Thank you. And I missed the first part of it, but are you gonna send this recording?
Yes, I can. And I didn't realize I wasn't screen sharing. So I'm sorry, you guys. I wasn't screen sharing when I was talking about these different options. So now I'm screen sharing, and now that I'm done explaining it, but I will send the recording. It'll probably be tomorrow that I'll send it, because I've got to do my next tutoring.
Okay. I have a question. I have my fall break next week.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know if I can get an intense tutoring so I can get this over with, because I passed the Texas Pact. But I didn't. Thank you, but I didn't pass the load because of that pedagogy part. That's 40 questions, and I missed some because I didn't finish on time. I didn't have time.
Yeah.
So I need to review those.
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
if you send me your score report, I'll tell you which one. Oh, thank you. I'll tell you which one I recommend for you. If I recommend the once a week or twice a week, depending on your score report. But the intense tutoring,
Okay,
yeah,
I'll
and
do that.
somebody asked, yeah, that'd be great. Somebody asked when the last day to apply is. Well, this one, the $33 a week, you can just start anytime. It's no problem at all because you just stay for 4 weeks and you're done. But if you want to do the intense one, it's really best to apply to go ahead and enroll right away because
And is there anything available for next week that I'm off
Um,
school? Because I work full time at an Humble Middle School, and it's impossible. I get it so exhausted at the end of the day that I don't want to see any computer.
yeah, you don't want to. Well, I do it every Wednesday night, but I send the
Every
recording.
Wednesday.
So you could enroll in the weekly and just watch the recordings at your convenience. And a lot of people do that. They don't stay because it's so late, I know. So you could do that.
So
If you
do the
wanted-
weekly, the
yeah, I think you
$33
probably-
weekly one.
If you did pretty well on the PACT, that means you're pretty good at your Spanish. And so I think this would be good. Or we could even talk about just the pedagogy part for you. If you send me your score report, I'll tell you, because if you really only need pedagogy, I don't want you to spend money on things you don't need.
So
Right.
that's great. I'll send you that to the same emails I get, that same email.
Yeah,
Do I send
I
it to
check
that?
both of them. I check both my work account and my Gmail account, so either one is fine. I have to send the recordings from Gmail because they're big files. So
Uh-huh.
so yeah,
So by
so
this weekend, I'll send you that, and because they're asking me, my supervisor already approved me for the content exam to retake it. They reapproved, but I need to have like it says here, let me read to you. Let me see, certified from a certified teacher to get like the tutoring you do for you. When I pass those practice tests and all the tutoring I do with you, they need a letter from you saying that,
that you
with
passed.
my
I could
score,
do that.
so that I pass, so I can retake it
Absolutely.
again.
Yeah, as long as they
Okay.
accept it from me, because I'm not certified teacher, as long as they'll accept it from me.
Mhm.
I am approved by the state as a CPE provider, so that might make them accept it. But I've
Okay.
done certificates for people before, but I'm not sure if every program will accept it. So just check with them, but I'd be happy to give you a certificate. Does anybody else have any questions about my course or tutoring or the test in general? No. All right. Well, and I'm sorry that wasn't screen sharing before,
Thank
but
you
this,
so much.
oh, thanks to you guys. This is the option that most people pick right here in the middle, the $33 a week. You're done in 4 weeks. It's affordable. You still get the help you need. The tutoring, you get everything in the course. People that enroll in this one don't tend to finish it all the time. That's the problem with this one, is they don't tend to finish it. So people have more success with this. And then this one is if you need a lot of extra help. So you really can't go wrong, but if you do the course only, you need to be real self-directed. But I want to thank you guys so much. I've got to get ready for my next one, but I'll send the recording and oh, thanks to you guys. Thanks so much. I'll send the recording and the links for my courses and everything. And then I'll hope to see you again soon, and let me know what I could do to help. Okay. Thank you. Take care.